Hey, Derek here at Castaway Studios. Welcome back again to the studio. The Rodecaster Pro is now a pretty big part of a lot of podcasters' worlds. It's proven itself. And today I'm just going to have a quick talk about what you should buy now that you've decided to buy one. So what to bring home so you don't have to head out again to the shops. All right, let's get going. Right, well, let's just knock off the very basic stuff that are fairly obvious things you're going to need to be able to use this, and that is XLR leads and microphones, right? So if you want to bring it home and play with it, then get one XLR lead and one microphone. Dynamic, condenser, doesn't make any difference, all right? So get hold of a microphone. If you've already got the gear and you've been using a different setup, then fine, you've already got that. But it'd be silly to give you a list of things to bring home with it if I didn't include that. Okay, so as many microphones as you need, as many XLR to XLR cables as you need. All right, think about the lengths of those cables. Have a good think about where they've got to go, if they've got to go under a table and out again, or up an arm or whatever. Have a think about that. That's the easy bit. Next, SD cards. All right, so you're going to need an SD card in the thing to do the backup recording. My recommendation is look it up. Do not get anything online or from eBay in case you get a counterfeit one. The very worst thing that can happen is to lose a recording. Sometimes the paddy you get when recording a podcast, you can't repeat. Sometimes you can and you get a better job the second time, but you don't want that, especially if you've got a guest that you've talked into doing it. All right, it's the unthinkable. So go to the proper shop where you get your electronic stuff and get off the shelf a known, genuine, correct one. I'm going to I'll flash something up right now. When choosing, one little tip from me is when choosing SD cards, you kind of and and you go, oh, should I get a 64, 32, 64, 128, 256 gigabyte card? And then my logic is sometimes the way, I'll tell you how I work. I use two 128s and I have a drawer full of 64s, right? So I use two 128s that rotate. So I have one that's always in here, and that allows for something like 17 hours of recording. Now, this studio gets used all the time, so that fills quite quickly. And then I have the other one in its little caddy in the front of the PC, and then so when they come out, I have a automatic sync toy or something that grabs everything off there and lands it on my big hard drive backup. Right, so I use the SD on my Rodecaster Pro just for backup, for emergency backup. So I'm not really pulling the SD cards in and out for any other reason than they're nearly full or at the stage when it's risky to leave them, with a limited amount of space if there's a big recording coming up. So when it's 2/3 full, I pull them out, put it in there, automatically upload onto the big hard drive, put a new one in, format it in the Rodecaster Pro, let it do its thing and format it the way it wants to do it, and then off again for the next 17 hours of recording. You can't really change the way I've got it set up. I've got it recorded in multi-track, right? So it does record stereo mix down plus 1, 2, 3, 4, and then two tracks for the USB, 2 tracks for the TRRS phone, 2 tracks for the Bluetooth, and 2 tracks for the soundboard thing, right? So it will always record those, even if you've got nothing going on. But that doesn't really matter because space is cheap these days. All right, so get the right SD cards, but I'd say get a handful, give yourself a little bit of elbow room. And I always have a cheap 32 there sitting in the drawer, or a 64 that I can throw in if all hell breaks loose and I go, oh, I'm not sure whether I've backed that up, or I get confused. Just crack open another one. much easier than losing something or accidentally formatting something you haven't backed up. Okay, next thing. Get yourself a TRRS to TRRS cable. Okay? They're not as easy to find as you think. Well, not where I am in Melbourne, Australia. I did find a shop that has them, and I bought 3, and I just kind of handed them around to people that I knew had Rodecaster Pros, and I knew that at some stage would go, now, where are we going to get that cable? Okay, so all it is, I'll give you a little demo. It's this white one here. It goes in to the little 1/8 inch jack in the back of the Rodecaster Pro, and it basically operates the channel. I'll show you a photo. The channel here with the picture of the telephone. So the reason I suggest getting this right away is because despite the fact that your Rodecaster Pro will connect to your phone via Bluetooth or your device via Bluetooth, the quality using the cable is better. It just is. It's not going to work with an iPhone, is it? So get one of these as well. I'll put a picture up. I've got that tagged because they go walkabout a lot around here. Everyone has one. It's all part of everyone's handbag or whatever. And they go, oh, is that mine? And then no one wants to take the risk and go home without their own thing. So they take mine. So there's no mistaking this guy with his Castaway tag. So that goes on there. One into your iPhone. They're from the Apple shop or whatever. One from the iPhone, the other one into there. And then bam, you've got your Mix Minus recording set up. Get your burner phone out that you do drug deals or have affairs with, and you can connect that via Bluetooth, and you can actually interview 2 people at the same time, one through this on one phone and one through the other phone using Bluetooth. So that is a must get, that cable. When I say TRRS, you know what I mean. It's got the 4 connections on it, because it's the one for the phones that have the microphone and the stereo and the earth. All right? So there are 3 little rings that separate the connections on that. So it has to be that at both ends. That's great. The other good thing about this is you can connect it to anything you like. Your old Walkman. I connected to this little Akai. Let's give you a little tune. You see? So I can chuck that in there and have some novelty noises if I want, or whatever. You can also plug it into your iPad or any other device if you just want to throw a bit of music or a pre-recorded interview in there without fussing yourself, or if you're going live. It's very, very handy. All right, so that's my tip for what you should get there. Next thing. This is not such a big deal, but I love them. I got these at the Apple shop, but they're just little cable clips, and I can keep this thing stuck on here, so I always know where it is. And I've got another one with this here, because I use, with my headphones at the front, I use the phones I'm using when I'm engineering. I use the front jack, right? So I've got them plugged into there, which is a mini jack. But if I want to use these headphones somewhere else in the system, then I'm going to be looking for one of these little bastards. So I keep that in there. Not necessary, just my thing. Thought I'd just tell you. Next thing, power supply. Okay, so the Rodecaster Pro has the power lead comes into the back here. I'll put a photo up now. And it actually threads on, and which is great, because if you pull that power out in the middle of a recording, it's gone. All right? It's completely gone. If you're recording to a DAW, your main recording's still there. But if you're using this as a standalone or as a backup, and your backup's important, then you're going to lose what's happening if you pull the plug out. So it's a big danger. So when I say power supply, I don't mean a new one for the Rodecaster Pro. I mean, consider when you go to bring this home and set it up, consider strongly where the power leads are going to go, how strong they are. Don't use some rickety old double adapter somewhere near where the kids plug in their Xbox or anything like that. Make the effort to get an extension lead that goes to a private, untrip-overable situation, because I've seen it before where professional podcasters have lost a show and had to start again because someone has tripped over a cable in the studio and lost the lot. All right, so it's worth having a bit of a think on your way home and really considering where you're going to plug that in. Next thing, this is just me, but I guess you've probably already got it sorted out, but I make sure that I've got a enormous hard drive just purely for backups, so that my workflow for this backup can't really, touch wood, can't really go wrong. Right, so an enormous backup is what I bought, so that these just purely go in and they get sucked into the backup drive, and then I can recycle the SDs quick enough. Probably goes for everyone in this situation, but that's something to consider if you're out on a shopping spree. All right, get some good headphones. Apart from that, rock and roll. Happy recording.